We're here with Dave Jones' locker room. I'm Zaiem and
Glenn Dreyfuss,
where the Seattle Kraken have lost to the New York Rangers by a score of 3-2 in overtime. The Kraken pick up yet another overtime loss, and there's a lot to discuss, or maybe there isn't that much to discuss because this was a low event hockey game. Glenn,
here's the thing: what did Wayne Gretzky say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I think that's a Michael Scott quote, actually.
Oh, maybe Gretzky got it from him, or maybe it's the other way around. But whichever way it is, the Kraken didn't shoot their shot tonight. In regulation, they had a grand total of 12 shots and 1 in overtime. That makes 13. And generally, you're not going to win taking 13 shots when you allow your opponent double that number. And afterward, I asked Lane Lambert if it was fair to say the Kraken didn't have a shoot first mentality tonight. He said it is fair, and that his team passed up a lot of shots. He did give the Rangers credit for being a good team in terms of getting in lanes, and you don't want to shoot typically a shot if it's not going to get through. But he also pointed out there were times the Kraken could have shot from a severe angle, maybe not scored on that shot, but had the puck pinball, get in a high danger area, give yourself a chance for rebounds, the kind of thing that doesn't happen if you don't take shots on goal. So he was unequivocal that the Kraken in the future need to amp up their shots on goal, even if they're not all grade A chances.
It was really interesting. So we can do a quick 60-second rundown. The Kraken, they fall behind 1-0 on a goal that was kind of weird. It was deflected. It looked like it was tipped out in front, and then it wasn't. Joe just kind of getting his glove on it.
You know, at first it looked like he just got his glove on it. I think it may have gone off the shaft of his stick, which he didn't mean to do, and it actually got in the way of him catching the puck with his glove, and that's why he kind of stood for a moment in disbelief, like, how did that happen? That was supposed to go in my glove, and it didn't. So that was 1-0. The Kraken come back with a Chandler Stevenson power play goal, one that was a bad angle shot or came from the dot, but cleanly beat Igor Shesterkin, and that tied the game at 1 for 61 seconds until the Rangers scored their second and took a 2-1 lead into the first period dressing room.
Yeah, no, Laba crashes the net on a rebound, scores a goal, crashes into the boards while he's smiling. If he played for the Kraken, we would see it all over Kraken social media. I'm sure Rangers social media will eat that up because it was a pretty adorable moment, even if it was an opponent.
And all credit to Lava. He beat Jordan Eberle, who was marking him, to the rebound. And he was aggressive on it and got there a step before Eberle. And it's one of those plays where the initial shot by Kyle is a testing one, and Decord isn't going to be able to direct the puck where he wants. He's got to just make save, and so there's going to be a rebound, and Laba just overflowed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct. He that's exactly what happened. The verb I was also thinking.
Lava was hot tonight.
Lava was hot tonight. And then who keeps saving the Kraken's bacon whenever they're behind? It's Brandon Montour. Yet again, his third goal in the last two games ties it for the Seattle Kraken.
Well, two things I liked on that play. One was what set up the shift was Matty Beniers, who I thought was flying tonight. I thought he was hungry on the puck. I thought he was showing some of that Calder Trophy winning season mojo to get to pucks, to outskate everybody around the pucks. His puck possession was good enough that the Kraken ozone possession continued until his shift was over. He went off the ice. Other Kraken forwards came on. And then the second thing I liked was Brandon Montour. He cocked his rifle. He had his stick up in the air. And all he was waiting for was someone to get him the pill. And Jaden Schwartz found him. And then he unloaded that rifle shot and again cleanly beat Shesterkin, and that tied the game.
There was also a power play goal that was ostensibly scored by the Rangers, and we can talk about special teams in a moment, but the Rangers went on the power play, and there was a scramble, hack and whack time, as John Forsen said it, a bevy of humanity, and the puck went in the net. It was signaled a goal, but then it was disallowed.
What I wrote in my game story was it was as close as the NHL is going to come to a tush push. Because, man, it was a rugby scrum. And that guy, Will Kyle, who was a thorn in the Kraken's side all night, apparently he was adjudged to have made contact with the cord before the puck went in the net.
Yeah, so after the game, Joey was asked about this, and he said that he quote he pitchforked my leg and then spun me completely, and so he said he got up, and if you get up and you're incensed, then the referees are like, oh, I don't know, but so he's like, you got to go up and you got to be nice, and so he went up and he said, hey, hey ref, you can't spear me in the leg, and so Will Cooley that's what happened. His name will come up later in a moment here, but the referees, they looked at it after Joey pled his case, and they disallowed the goal because they ruled that Cooley pushed into DeCord's right pad and, as he said, was speared, and so the Kraken played on.
And my apologies to the Cooley family and all of his friends and relatives across North America for not calling him Cooley.
Yeah, we're getting angry letters as we speak, which is really the Postal Service is working much faster than usual. The switchboard is lighting up, and if we want any other old-timey references,
get those forever stamps, kids.
Be sure to set your VCR. So the Kraken, they go into overtime somehow, despite being outshot. And then in overtime, the Cooley family, they get the revenge.
Well, this may surprise you. Lane Lambert said after the game that he is actually pleased with how the Kraken have played in overtime. And they've had a lot of experience. This was, in this young season, their sixth overtime game, sixth game that has gone beyond regulation. They've won 2. They've come out on the losing end 4 times. He did say there was loose coverage on the eventual goal that was scored against them by Cooley, but that generally he has liked their 3-on-3 play.
So that was that's how the game ended, with Cooley scoring in overtime. Not ideal, but as these losses, these overtime losses, 2 losses is a win, essentially, right? And so losing 4 times in overtime is essentially winning 2 extra games. And it doesn't feel very good, as Joey said after the game. Losing in overtime sucks. And
Succinct and eloquent.
So that is, but there was some other stuff going on. So I wanted to also talk about the today was the first day that they had the third jerseys, the glow in the dark jerseys, and those I think fell a little flat.
Well, that's because there wasn't any dark.
Yeah.
Therefore, there wasn't any glow.
Well, but they came out before for starting lineups, and it was dark, and the players skated out, and you're like, wait, is there glowing supposed to be happening? Like what? You're like squinting, you're like, is this safe? Like these players are skating around in the dark. Is this? I mean, if you a couple years ago against the Rangers, the lights went out here at Climate Pledge Arena, and they played the game with the bank of lights out.
Yes.
Here the lights went out deliberately, but the glow in the dark jerseys didn't really glow in the dark. So I felt like that was kind of a miss. And then the thing that I really did not like about them is it is hard to see the numbers.
Oh, read my mind.
Oh,
You almost have to know who the players are by picking up other clues, because when you have numbers that are just outlines rather than full out contrast with the color, it is tough, especially from a ways away, to figure out who the players are. I entirely agree with you.
I did not listen to all of the broadcast, but I listened to some of it. I don't know if John Forsland does the thing where, when he's talking and he doesn't like the facilities, or if it's too far away, or if the jersey's hard to read, he does get a little passive aggressive with his comments and like, these jerseys, you'll need binoculars to read these numbers, or some Forslandism. And I don't know if he had one of those tonight, but they'll be doing these third jerseys for quite a while, I believe, for the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Yes, and I think they have like 11 more times just this year.
So plenty of opportunities for John Forsland to complain about the numbers being hard to read, which I guarantee is going to happen at some point this season.
Well, it's a little bit tougher because in the same game, he's got to read promos by the Kraken third jersey. So maybe that makes a little tough to complain about.
Capo, first game back against his former team.
Oh, really? Was he back? I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Did you notice?
He said, so he was the other person that we talked to after the game, aside from Joey Decord, and of course, Coach Lambert, as always. And he said he was tired his first game back. And that, after missing all the season up to this point.
Oh, I'm not knocking Capo. First game back, first game action, he skated just over 14 minutes in the game. So I didn't have high expectations, but he wasn't really noticeable.
Right. And he also mentioned having new line mates with Shane Wright, Mason Marchment, and he said, I have not played with either of those people. I played mostly with Maddie, and he didn't mention Jaden Schwartz, but he said, but we know he played with Jaden Schwartz last year. And so he's back. He is easing in. He admitted that he was tired. He was rusty, and it showed. But it is nice to see some of the depth coming back, and he is a key forward for the Kraken.
I think Seattle is now down to 3 on the injured list: Freddie Gaudreau, Riker Evans, and Jared McCann. At one time during the road trip, the Kraken had 6 regulars out. Considering that 18 skaters can play, that's a third of your regulars out of the lineup. They're now down to 3 out of the lineup. So it's getting better. But as you say, it's going to take time to integrate. You don't just pick up where you left off last year, and especially if you're not with the same line mates.
One of the things that came up with the post-game stuff and throughout the game was, and really I think the story of the game. So My big takeaway is the Kraken need more offense. They need more shots on goal. I know this is a controversial take. They did not get to 10 shots on goal until very late in the third with something like 6 or 7 minutes left.
Well, they didn't have even one shot on goal in the third period for the first 8 minutes of the period.
Kako didn't say much, but he mentioned that they need more goals and more offense. Joey Decord, when asked about it, he said, hey, I just play goal, and I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to mention, we're not going to bring up the offense issues. It seems like kind of a sore spot. The one thing that I found really interesting was the crowd was pretty restless about the lack of shots. And with the Kraken were sitting on 9 shots on goal forever in the third period. And there was a sequence with like 9 minutes left where they're cycling the puck and they're just like, the crowd just wants them to get a shot on goal, and they're not. And they're passing and they're passing. And then the crowd started reacting as if these were scoring chances. So it was like, a goal almost went in, except in this case, it's just, oh my God, it was almost a shot on goal. And everyone was like reacting and gasping. And it was like, just like, oh, you just gotta, like, they weren't even like, oh, a shot on goal might go in. It's just, we want a shot on goal. We just want someone to shoot the freaking puck. And then at the end of regulation, Brandon Montour, who has been excellent, for some reason, he just kind of held the puck and he was kind of like looking, and the clock is ticking down. And then he doesn't get a shot off. And there was like some booing. It was really interesting because the Kraken weren't losing, but the crowd had this restless, frustrated energy all night long. And it really was like such an anemic offensive performance. It is really kind of amazing that the Kraken got to overtime to get that point.
This is the best game the Kraken have ever played, with 8 shots on goal after 2 periods. That, talk about damning with faint praise. It did seem like they were playing for the point. Like, let's just get to overtime, get that point, and hope something good happens in the overtime. The sequence you mentioned, the second half of the third period, I think that was a key sequence. The Kraken had their first sustained pressure of the period, so much so that as teams are doing more often, they were able to change personnel while the Rangers were hemmed in their zone. So much so that the Kraken forced the Rangers to ice the puck. Again, the Kraken are able to change personnel. After an icing, the team that ices the puck can't change personnel. So you've got a tired group of Rangers. You've got fresh Kraken bodies on the ice. And I thought, this is their chance. They've got a real advantage here. And yet through all of that, no shots on goal.
No shots on goal. This is a trend. This is turning into a concern. The Krakens they're not generating shots. And while they are doing a decent job with shot suppression overall this season, I think that these low event games, I wonder, part of it is probably by design by Lane Lambert, but then I also wonder if this is something that is mentally challenging and mentally exhausting over an entire season to play these really close games all the time. And, you're always in these tight, close games. Does it take a toll? And it's something that I wondered about Lane Lambert with his Islanders team, because his last year in New York, the defense for the Islanders, they were terrible. And that is Lane Lambert's calling card, is defense first. So when the players stop responding, now I understand that we're only 13 games into the season and 13 games under a new coach, and saying like, well, maybe the players will check out in 2 or 3 years or whatever is getting way ahead of ourselves. But I do wonder about the sustainability of the, it feels like it's maybe not that sustainable.
Well, part of this is correctable. There's a part when you're playing teams with superior talent, that is what it is. But at least shooting more on net, because the other thing the Kraken did is they missed the net on a lot of shots. There were 2-on-1s. Ty Carte comes down with Ryan Winterton, and Winterton on a 2-on-1 misses the net. Well, part of not getting enough shots is just not choosing to shoot. It's when you do shoot, you have to put it between the posts and under the crossbar and make the goalie make a save. You shoot it wide, and heck, you can end up being caught up ice when the puck goes the other way when you do that. But you haven't given yourself a chance to score. Now, I understand they're trying to pick a corner, and it's a very delicate thing whether you pinpoint into the goal or above it or to the side of it. But more of those shots that the Kraken did take needed to be on goal than what they got.
Do you think they were trying to maybe be a little too precise because it's Igor Shesterkin, and they're like, oh, I gotta be perfect shot placement to beat this guy because he is one of the best goalies in the NHL?
Absolutely. That does get in your head. It is worth noting that the 2 goals the Kraken did score cleanly beat Shesterkin. Chandler Stevenson and Brandon Montour both did shoot on goal, and those 2 went in goal. So, yeah, I guess a goalie like Shesterkin can get in your head, but it is also worth noting that the New York Rangers, and this may be a surprise to you, are the best road team in the NHL. Not a surprise to you, but a surprise to you. 6, we see you. 6-1-1 are the Rangers away from Madison Square Garden. The same Rangers team that is 0-3-1 at Madison Square Garden. Do you realize when the New York Rangers play, and if you go to an arena to watch the New York Rangers play, chances are you're going to leave disappointed because they've lost all 4 of their games at home, and they've won 6 of 8 games on the road. So don't get a ticket to see the Rangers that was my real takeaway.
Unless you're a Rangers fan who's attending an out-of-town game, and then you're having a great time.
There were a few of those tonight.
There were a few. There always are, but they were kind of loud. I think in the third period, they were like dueling "Let's go Kraken, let's go Rangers" chants, and it was loud.
New Yorkers, loud. Get out! Stop the presses! Breaking news.
You would think that New York sports would have destroyed the soul of those fans. The Yankees, Jets, Giants, Rangers, Knicks have just, I mean, if you want to throw in the Islanders and the Nets, the Devils, I mean, the greater New York area, throwing the Flyers. Why not? They're just disappointing everybody. Let's not put Philly fans with New York fans. I apologize. I did not mean to conflate you. I understand these are
the
things.
Rangers have won Stanley Cup since 1940.
Yes.
So that would make me salty too.
Yeah.
When you're done and I'm done with this game, I have a couple other things to go over. But let's finish with this one first.
I believe that I have everything I wanted to cover.
Okay.
This was a pretty low event game, and so the Kraken will.
Well, don't say goodbye yet.
Oh, okay, all right. We're not saying goodbye. So
why? Glenn. Because it's time for Glenn's leftovers, And I want to tell you, that puck was delicious. This is stuff, and you've got one too that I'm going to remind you of, a leftover stuff, not from tonight, but past games. My first leftover is Shane Wright, where he was on his 15th birthday. This is a screen grab from Hockey Night in Canada. On his 15th birthday, when he was playing minor hockey, he attended a Toronto Maple Leafs game with one of his teammates, and he's looking up because he has just realized that he is on the big video board at the Maple Leafs game, and he is delighted and try to tell me that this is not adorable.
Shane Wright is perpetually adorable. That's very, very, he's such a precious, sweet child.
And I want to relate a separate Hockey Night in Canada Shane Wright story. After the Kraken game against the Oilers last Saturday, Shane Wright was a guest on their program they call After Hours with Scott Oak. So they're talking about hockey and discussing all these things. And the subject comes up that Shane Wright plays guitar. So Scott Oak says, you know, we happen to have a guitar right here, and we're going to have Shane Wright play us to commercial. And Shane Wright's eyes get as big as saucers. He's like, I'm really not that good. And Scott Oak says, I was kidding. We don't really have a guitar here. But I think Shane Wright would rather face a 6'5" defenseman in the corner than have been handed a guitar at that moment. So yeah, that was amusing for me. I don't know about for him. One other Glenn leftover, and you'll recognize this, but I want to bring it up because there's more to it than meets the eye. This is Mason Marchment, the Kraken victory in Winnipeg. And after a whistle, he is doing a fake punch to Logan Stanley. Now, Marchment's a big guy. He's 6'5", but he's not picking his spots because Stanley is 6'7" and outweighs him. He's a big dude. And Marchment nevertheless gets under his skin and then later points and laughs at him. And the reason this went viral, no doubt you've seen this, but the reason I wanted to mention it was because this is why you get Mason Marchment. This is why he is despised by the 31 other teams he doesn't play for. It may be something that makes your skin crawl. It may be something that inherently, as a good human being, you go, I don't think that's right. But in professional hockey, the Kraken have really lacked pests. You know, the Pat Verbeeks, the Esa Tikkanens, the Claude Lemieux. Look them up, kids. Players who were despised by the other team, weren't the most talented, but they knew how to get under an opponent's skin. And it is a feature of winning teams.
I did not like Mason Marchment at any point prior to this season because nobody likes him unless he's on your team. And when he's on your team, you're like, oh, man, this guy's great. So I knew when they signed him, the switch was going to get flipped. Like, this effing guy to like, this effing guy.
And you had a leftover related to the Edmonton game as well, when the power went out in the production truck of the Kraken broadcast in the third period.
Yes. So last week the power went out in I think it was the third period.
Yes.
To the production truck, and they ended up switching from the KHN broadcast, the Kraken Hockey Network broadcast, to the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast. And so the Kraken production was completely shut off. Well, I look over and I see John Forsland, and he's just watching intently, and he's not saying anything because he's not calling the game because there's no game. And it was so bizarre because I can see John, anyone on the press bridge, there are two levels. There's the upper level and a lower level. The upper level is for the broadcasters and other league personnel. And then the lower level is for us print folks, right? And so you can look up, and he's like leaning out. He's always leaning out and calling the game. And so if you're seated in the section below John, you can hear him, and you can always look up and see him. And I'm so used to looking over and seeing John leaning out, calling the game, being in my opinion, the GOAT hockey broadcaster, certainly one of the top ever to do it. And in this game, you saw him leaning out, and he's just watching the game is going on. There's a Kraken game going on, and John Forsland is just standing and watching. It is truly, it was so bizarre. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's I understand. Yeah.
That's heavy.
So John Forsland or John Forlorn, stealing your joke. I haven't had a chance to ask him if he's ever encountered that before, or if he's ever had that experience, like how strange it was. Yeah. But next time I get a chance, I'll ask him. He's somewhat elusive relative to other broadcasters and media members, but we can track him down eventually.
That was wonderful that when the power went out there, that your brain clicked in. Let me see how the broadcasters are reacting to not being able to broadcast.
Yeah, it's super interesting because these things you can't predict them, and you don't know how people are going to react.
I would hate if that happened to me, because
oh no, oh boy, well, I think that maybe that's time to call it a night.
Okay.
Kraken stay at home. It's a 5-game homestand. They will be back on Monday to play the Chicago Blackhawks at 7 p.m. at Climate Pledge Arena.
Don't sleep. Don't count 2 points against the Blackhawks on Monday or the San Jose Sharks on Wednesday. The Sharks tonight beat the Colorado Avalanche, and the Blackhawks in Edmonton took the Oilers to overtime. So they are playing this is the 31st and 32nd ranked teams last year, but they are playing a lot better this year, and the Kraken better not take them lightly.
Well, I guess we'll see Connor Bedard, and we'll see Macklin Celebrini. And until then, I'm Zaiem Begg.
I'm Glenn Dreyfuss.
And we're with Davy Jones Locker Room. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you could like and subscribe to the stream, it would really help us out as we're trying to grow this. And we will see you next Saturday, post game. Although I think you're going to be on the road.
I will try to join you. I'm going up to Toronto for the Hall of Fame inductions, but if at all possible, I will try to do this because I really love these Saturday night extravaganzas, and I thank you for joining us.
And we love you. Thank you so much. We'll see you next Saturday.